What's up? Hey guys. Anybody that's in this group, man, thank you so much for hopping in here. I know you are if you're in here, you're hungry for more time freedom, more location freedom, maybe more financial freedom for sure. So I wanted to hop in here today. I'm going to start every week on Tuesdays doing a Tuesday training. And my philosophy is that consistency is king. And when you don't put time towards getting better at things, you don't get better at them. And even 20 minutes max, like it probably will only be 10 today, but even 20 minutes max of leadership training every single week, if you can commit to being on here every Tuesday to watch this, whether you watch the repeat or whether you're on here live right now, it's really important to have that. And I guarantee and I promise to you, like that is my promise, is that whatever I put in here, it will be something that you can immediately put into action in your business, as you in your role at work, whatever you do for a living, but really for your staff, for your team, for yourself to be able to implement it into the week right away. So I'm really excited for it. And today we're going to be talking about the 5 leadership qualities that you can really implement immediately. And I, of course, I'm always reading on this stuff, like you guys know, as I dig the leadership stuff. I really do, because right now in the world, it's such an insane time. And we really need people to step up. And one thing that computers and Facebook Live, of all things, do is allow people not only to compete with bigger organizations as being an individual entrepreneur and being self-employed, but being by myself. Not only can I compete with other bigger corporations online, because that's what computers give us the access to do, but I can also create a movement. And that's what I want to do. I am so passionate about this, you guys. It's so stupid how passionate I am about it, because I have seen so many poor leadership moves since as an adult, right? And you guys have too. Our world needs leaders to step up, and I am stepping up, and I want you to come with me. I want you to enjoy the journey of leadership and really own it and have a say in what goes on around you and what goes on in your community, in your town, in your home, and not hide and not avoid and not sit around and just watch things happen. I want you to be able to take and feel confident in taking bold action on it. And if you own a business and you want a life of freedom and you want a life of time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom, you really, really need to step into a leadership role. And whether you are a business owner or not, leadership is not something that is based on rank or authority. Anyone can be a leader. The only thing that you need to, in order to be a leader, is to want it. You need to want to be a leader. I remember for myself not thinking that I was a leader. Starting my first gym, we're at 7 now, but starting my first gym back in the day, I thought that my partner was a leader and that I just didn't have it in me. I didn't realize and give myself credit to be able to jump into education and read about it and search for it and talk to people about it. How can I improve it and actually get better at it over time? At that time, I was just oh no, he's totally the leader, right? And I was comparing myself to him, but really I had not put myself and shown up to actually want to be a leader. I was always in an employee role. I was always being told what to do, and that's what I was doing all through college, right? So as soon as I broke out of that shell, right, and you can too, you have to want it. That's the only king. So you don't have to be a manager or own a business or be in charge to be a leader. There's no reason for that. Leadership is very much like parenting. So much like parenting. It's the closest thing to parenting that probably exists, because you have to lead a human through the world. You have to make them grow, right? It's the same thing in leadership. You have to be an infinite student of that. Just like if you're going to be a parent, you got to go out and you got to talk to people, maybe talk to your own parents, look at magazines, read books, get online, get on Facebook groups, mommy groups, all of this stuff to constantly, because it's a moving target, right? They're getting older and older and older, and it's a constant new thing that you need to be able to step into. It's knowing when to discipline. Same thing with leadership. It's knowing how to have hard conversations. It's knowing it's listening, right? You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to give and direct feedback, get and take and give feedback. Like, you need to be able to do that in all scenarios. So it's something I want you to think about. I'm getting off track because I get really excited about this. So I hope that you are taking something away. If you are, and you're watching this in the replay, because many of you are working and not here at the moment, I want you to comment below and give me a thumbs up if that resonates with you. Okay. If you are like, yes, I can do that. And of course, like, I'm reading this morning, this book, and in it is this quote about it. So I'm going to read it to you because it was like really awesome. Basically, that I happen to be stepping into talking about leadership today. And this is what it said. Greatness is so rarely sought, and generation after generation fail to hold the line of human goodness and advancement. Why? Because most people don't want to hold themselves or others to a higher standard, because the former requires discipline and the latter invites conflict, right? We are creatures that avoid conflict at all costs, right? And so they excuse their poor behavior and don't call out social wrongs. They no longer firmly expect themselves or others to act with virtue, compassion, excellence, or wisdom. They don't tell their children to improve their behavior because they don't want to be too controlling. They can't tell the team to shape up because they don't want to appear bossy, right? These are all things that I've experienced, but all things that we need to step into in order to be greater leaders. So without more people deciding to serve as role models and leaders, our society has become a suffering case of the silent and bland leading the silent and the bland. And we need to not be the bland. That's the goal, right? Is to step into that. What else? Yeah, that's it. But that's a part of it, is like, when right now, we need that. So I'm going to give you 5 top leadership qualities. All right. 3 of them are from my high performance framework. 3 of them are from just having my own mentors and leaders and coaches throughout. The first one is this. They took time to develop me. It's backwards. But they took time to develop me. So that was a huge one. I worked at Viking Corporation, which is a fire sprinkler manufacturing company in Hastings, Michigan. It was an hour away from Kalamazoo, where I lived. I worked 5 days a week. I was in procurement. I was in purchasing, basically. It was like an entry-level position right out of college. Have a supply chain management degree. Stepped into this, never having had I'd had coaches, which were definitely mentors and things to be, but never someone in the workplace. So this was my first workplace. I take that back. I've been working since 13. Like, I worked at the family Ford dealership in my town. Like, I've had almost an embarrassing amount of jobs, but to this day, I'm so grateful for that, because I have so much experience with so many leaders that really sucked and so many leaders that brought me up. And this guy was one of them. His name is Greg, and he took the time to develop me. He would check in on me at least 2 or 3 times a week, to make sure that I was being developed in the proper way, and that if I had questions, I was asking them. And it allowed me to open up and feel really comfortable with him and asking what needs to be done, and making sure I had the right priorities in shape for what needed to happen, all of that. So that was awesome. He took the time to develop me. The second one, and I won't write these out on here, is that he gave me space. This was also him. He gave me space and room to grow and develop relationships in the organization that I needed to be able to do myself. Because all too often we try to either handhold, or we give too much space and we never check in as leaders. So a good leader is not only going to develop you and take the time out of their busy schedules to develop you, right? But they're also going to make sure that they give you the space to grow on your own and to make your own mistakes. And they're going to be there on the back end to support you and be like, hey, I know you made that mistake, but this is what we need to do next time, or what have you. The third one is constant encouragement to deepen education. So I don't know if you follow me on Facebook. I put a post out the other day of me and 3 other ladies, all nude, and we're posing for a camera. And that mentor was my mentor, Bob, who passed away as soon as I moved to New Jersey. God bless him. He was an amazing mentor, and one of the biggest things that I got out of having him in his leadership role was he taught me exactly what it meant to deepen my education in anything that engaged it. So if I was excited about something, he was like, yeah, go do that, do this. So I was excited about photography. And so I went into posing for him for some extra cash, and with him and another gentleman For extra cash in college, I turned out I loved it. I enjoyed it. I continued to pose for them. They were complete 100% artistic and crazy and creative and like awesome. But they were there to draw and paint and photograph. And I was there. We had so many things in common, Bob and I. Like, I was a fitness coach, so I was into anatomy. And he was the coroner for his town. So he was, I can't remember the name of what his doctorate is, but he's a doctor of, it's off the top of my head. But anyway, he researched dead people. And that was a lot of times he would come in on his phone and he would flip through some dead people. And he would show me like what was going on there. And I love that because I like the anatomy piece. I love movement. I love mechanics. When we're like, I did it a couple of times, not even realizing it. And Ben just thinks it's funny because I'm like so interested in it. But when I see someone walking in a weird way, I'm like, honey, look, like you see how like immobile his hips are? That's why his knees caving on the right side. You know, like I love that nitty gritty anatomy. And so did Bob because he was drawing it. He had to be able to decipher a tricep from a bicep from a deltoid, and he had to be able to draw those things in shapes and see them as shapes. So when I would go to his house, he had a library that was just insane, and I could look up any anatomy book I ever wanted. Not only that, I was so into photography, and that was like my creative outlet at the time. He had a huge dark room in his basement. So he not only was educating himself, but he now was teaching it to me, and he loved that I was excited about educating myself. Does that make sense? So if you can encourage education within your people that, and maybe it's not even on the topic that you're working for. Maybe it's not, marketing, extra marketing support and education. Maybe it's something that intrigues someone that becomes a hobby. But you're encouraging them to go out and do that. Like, take a day off to go do that. When you have a team and a staff that is engaged in life and they are working with someone that understands that and can say, hey, we actually don't need you today. Why don't you head out a little bit early and go to that class you were talking about? Like, come on. Who does not want to work for that? So that's another important one. I digress. Number 4, I don't know who's watching, but say hello so I can see who it is. Number 4 is they teach us how to think. So we need to be able to get things across, express feedback, but also take feedback. But we need to be able to teach someone how we want them to think, right? We need to be able to teach. I remember trying to teach like 2 or 3 other gyms. All owners were pretty young. Hey, Katie, what's up, girl? All owners were pretty young and just in life, right? And they had never been presented with the option of raising their rates. And so I had to go through the same process coming in. So I get it, right? And I'm so lucky that I had so much experience in business in such a short amount of time with so many, just scaling to multiple locations and just having different opportunities with that to really learn and grow myself because I was in the same boat that they were. But man, when you don't think that you're worth it, you have to be taught how to think that you're worth it, because we had to raise our rates. It was necessary. And all they could think about is just, oh no, nobody's going to want it. Nobody's going to want that. Like, we've now increased our rates over 4 times and nobody has ever left. Like, nobody has ever left. Everyone's been fine. Most of the time they're grandfathered into that rate and anybody coming in, but any friends or family that they're inviting in, there was never a confrontation. Like, the program that we put out, the work that we do, the effort that we put in, the time we put into like managing our members and making sure that they're getting results and they're seeing progress consistently, that is worth a boatload of money. And yes, it could be worth more, but we're right in that bracket where yes, we are the most expensive in town, but we are also the best. And so we had to teach them how to think like that. And that takes time and it takes effort and it takes conversations. It takes uncomfortable conversations. It takes sometimes heated conversations. But that's something as a leader or as a parent that you need to be able to do, right? You need to be able to do that with your staff and with your coworkers and with your bosses and with the people that are leading your company, right? You need to be able to have a voice in that. So they teach us how to think. Number 5 is they role model the way. role modeling the way is really important. It's probably the biggest one, and it's probably the one that resonates with all of you when you think to yourself right now of the person that you think was like the best leader that you've ever met before. Like, were they role modeling the way that they wanted you to think and act and be? Because if they were, that is like, it's hands down, like this kind of like puts all of them into one, right? They role model the way. They gave me space. They took time to develop me. They constantly encouraged me. Like, they're teaching me to be a better role model. And that's huge. And they're just doing it because they're doing it themselves. Like, a lot of times we expect so much out of our bosses, or we expect so much out of our staff, and yet we're not willing to put the time in to develop them. So what makes us think that our staff are going to then do that for our clients? Right? Because as soon as all of a sudden shit hits the fan, you need support and you need somebody that's got your back. And if you don't have their back as a leader, they're never going to turn around and have your back. And you're going to be left like standing in the dark, right? When shit hits the fan in your business. So developing these relationships is really important. And the only way that you can do that is to role model exactly the best that you've seen. And sometimes it's just our own experience, right? Like, I role model the top 3 because I got that from Greg and Bob. But you may have something different. And if you do, if there's another role model or another leadership quality, like, please write it below so that other people can like get in on this. This is the point of having these Tuesday trainings, is that everybody can get in at some point today or tomorrow or forever and watch this video. But if you don't actually take action on it, if you're just intending to do it, nothing's ever going to happen. You have to take action on this. So what I want you to do this week, and I don't even know how long it's been on here. I don't even know if I can check that. Anyway, before I go, I want to say the last one, which I know I said 5, but the 6th one that I have down here is they challenge us. Because if you can't challenge people to move forward, to be better, to show up with a better energy, to show up in a better mood, to show up ready to work, to show up whatever, you can't really do much, right? You're not going to be able to progress your staff or progress yourself in leadership if you can't challenge yourself and if you can't challenge other people. So that's something that I actually used last week with, I have a client who owns the Piano Workshop in Chester, New Jersey. Amazing dude. He has another guy that he's kind of taken under his wing. And so leadership is a big thing for him right now, because this person might be managing a lot more of the day-to-day stuff. Sorry, my dogs are running around. And he's really trying to like step up his leadership. And so one thing that he did last week after we talked about challenging him to do something was he challenged him to, he gave him basically the opportunity and full reins to hire a new staff person. Now this kid has never done any of that before. He's never done it. So Mark gave him what he expected out of him, but he was he said, I trust you. I trust what you're going to do. You've seen me do it before. If you have questions, I'm here for you, but I want you to hire someone and I want you to get them on your team and like create that vision of what that looks like a year down the road. Right? So cool. And as soon as he did it, like this kid is off and running to the races. Like he's nervous, of course. It's his first time ever doing it, but that is true leadership, is to be able to challenge someone to go outside of the box, stretch their brains, think differently, right? So I have this, it's coming out soon, and I'll stop talking soon. I know I'm pretty late. I don't even know if you're there, Katie, or anybody else, but shoot me a little message at the bottom if you are. But what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. Every time somebody pops up, I get so excited and I look at it and then I lose my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, shoot, I forgot. Oh, yes. So I have this, it will be a free downloadable clarity and productivity guide to time freedom. And it's a really awesome guide, and I just finished it. I sent it off to the guy to design it, and it will be free to you if you want to download it. But it's awesome, but I kind of I tried to challenge you in that, right? I'm trying to lead the way in the way that I want you to lead others and yourself. But I gave you visions, like a 1, 3, and 5 year vision, and you have to write out what you want to feel like, what you want to look like, what you want to be like, where you want to live, who you want to be around, like all those things at different stages in the next, timeline of yourself and what you want to do. And then we take that action and we put it into our calendars. And it's really amazing. But I tried to challenge you and I put a bonus 10-year vision at the bottom. And that's to stretch. It's like nobody's thinking in that. Everybody's like consume, social media, like now, go. Like I live in New Jersey. It's go all the time. People are constantly flying by the seat of their pants here. It's insane. Nobody slows down to look out 10 years to see what things are going to look like for them in their mind's eye. And you have to be able to do that if you want to bring those action steps to today, because you're not going to be able to get your 10-year vision today, but you can start chipping away today. Because if you don't do that, then 10 years down the road, you're in the same spot. You have no vision. You have no motivation. Hey, Bill. You have no, I'm here. You have no motivation. That's why people lose motivation, is because they don't have a clear outcome or aim, and they're constantly living here and not looking outward. So they don't have, it's not that I want you to live in the future. I want you to live in the now and be present in the now. But if you want to live a certain way, or you want a certain home, or you want to live in a certain location, you want a new career. I have a lot of people in this group that are transitioning in career. And if you want to do that, it will take years to do it if you don't start taking little pieces of action every single week moving forward. And it doesn't need to be a lot. But that's what I'm trying to do, is challenge you to think differently and to think bigger. And the other example that I thought about earlier is like the money thing, the worth thing. Like, are you worth more than what you're charging for? Are your dreams and is your vision worth more than what you're charging for? If it is, then frickin' raise your rates. Do something big, do something bold, like step outside of that comfort zone. If you're struggling to hold it together and you're barely breaking even, but you know that your passion, your heart is in something, which I know there's people in this group that have started businesses that are about to give up, don't give up. Like if it's in your passion to do it, then do it. And make a bold move, charge more for it, and put in the effort to make it happen. Like there's things that need to be done. Like the fortune favors the bold. Like Anthony Kiedis says that in the Red Hot Chili Peppers in one of his songs. Like fortune truly favors the bold. And if you can't make bold moves like that, then no, you will not make it. So that's really important. But as a leader, you have to lead how you would want your staff to lead, how you would want your clients to lead themselves sometimes, and really challenge them to step up. So I love this shit. I could talk about this stuff all day, but I won't keep you here. If you're probably rewatching this. If you are, please shoot me a thumbs up. Write down a quality of a leader that you really love and stick it in the bottom in the comments so other people can see it. But I want to leave you with one thing. Like, what are the top leadership qualities you've experienced from your most admired leaders and mentors? I want you to think on that. I want you to take action on that this week. Pick one thing, whether it's a role model of the way, pick one person, and I want you to utilize it and practice it. Practice being a better leader. Pick someone to challenge this week. Because if you never do it, you will never be a good leader. But you got to step into that role. All right? Tuesday training is a wrap. Thanks for being here, all of you. Love it. Love to see your faces. Thanks for commenting, Katie and Bill. And I will see you guys on the flip side. Ciao.